What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Indie Music Money Podcast with your host, Rob Boss. I got a very special interview for you. As promised, my Patreon breakdown with my artist friend, Teneia. I first met her working in college. I booked her to play at my college's concert series. It was super awesome. I've been a fan since then. We talk about that a little bit in the interview. She gives some great tips for up and coming artists. She's been doing this for a really long time. And yeah, she's awesome. I hope you guys get a lot of value from this episode. Please go ahead and follow Teneia, follow the podcast, subscribe, share with a friend, all that great stuff. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoy. Outro music by none other than Teneia herself.
Teneia, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, of course. So first, can you just give us some background on you as an artist? So like how you first got into music and then kind of where you're at today?
Sure. So I'm before the pandemic, full-time touring musician. Been signed to a record label, indie record label, twice, same one, called Sonoblast Records. And I started out, as a Southern girl singing in church, learned how to sing there, went on to songwriting at a very young age, and then started releasing albums in 2004. And so I've learned a lot of ins and out of the industry. And so now I've kind of gotten into different forms of creation as an artist. So I do content for different companies and play music for different companies and organizations and write for them, as well as writing my own stuff.
Awesome. I love that. So when did you start your Patreon, and like what kind of led you to making that choice?
Yeah, so Patreon was an interesting thing because I had it when I was in another band touring, and we didn't really have any fans or anything on it. It was just a platform. I'd heard of it from different other creatives and content makers, but I never really checked it out. And so I had the page just sitting there, and a bunch of people, I think at the time it was like 5 people that started giving us money. And it was like, oh, this thing, we're not putting any content there. But it's like there's a little bit of money coming in. And so of August of I think it would have been 2019, I actually revamped the channel. And I was like, I'm going to put content here and really just make it something that's fun, that all of the stuff that I do behind the scenes or before it goes out to the public will go to my Patreon channel. And so I launched it in August of 2019, and it honestly became my saving grace when the pandemic hit.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I definitely know this because I am one of your patrons.
You're one of my first, early on patrons. I love it.
Yeah. But I love the service because I think it gives you the chance to make your own community kind of, and it's like you get to directly access your fans that really support you. So can you talk about the kind of content you post and your monthly live streams?
Yeah, so anything that I'm working on behind the scenes, a lot of times there's a lot of stuff that goes on Patreon that honestly it takes months and maybe even a year before it goes to the public for me. But there are things that are pieces of content that maybe feel like sometimes there's stuff that I just did that I think is really fun and really intimate, right? So for instance, an example is I auditioned for this program called American Music Abroad, which I had done before, which sent my band and I to Africa in 2019. And we had to do this Guatemalan folk song for the audition for 2020. And of course, nobody's traveling, right? So they put the program on hold. But I thought, oh, this is like really cool content for my Patreon channel, because even though, I didn't get to send it to American Music Abroad, what I did get to do is have a really beautiful piece of art that is, not really going to land anywhere as a release, but it's really cool for my fans to see. And so stuff like that goes on Patreon. Or projects that I'm working on that are going to come out 2 months later or 3 months later, and I land them on Patreon as like a sneak peek or an early exclusive kind of piece of content for my fans. And then I got set up to do these monthly live streams where fans can request songs that they really want to hear, like you requested Winter yesterday, and like I really go through and really interact with the fans, like what do you want to hear? So when we do the live streams, people can have their, requests, and we can kind of interact. And I usually play for about an hour, and it's so much fun for my heart. Like it just is such a loving time, and everybody that comes gets to show up, and I feel like we get to have these like virtual hugs, so to speak.
Yeah. No, and it's great too, because I haven't been seeing anybody during this like crazy time. So it's nice to like interact with people who are, like-minded and like positive and just trying to, I don't know. Music is great, and like something that I love about you is you stand for a lot more than just music, and so I think that that's important as someone that has like a platform. So I wanted to thank you for that, first of all. But yeah, I think it's great.
Thank you. That warms my heart. I really appreciate it. Well, because for me, it's, art is, it's layered, but I love like getting to do songs, but I'm always tied to a mission. I'm highly political. I love politics. I love being, active and knowing what's going on. And so a lot of my fans on Patreon, there will be dedications to like, let's do Winter for, Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff, and like dedicate to them, or, the last Black Lives Matter person that has passed away. It's really interactive in that way, and I love that because we're all so tied to these current events and the people that have been lost their lives or have had these really successful wins. And for me, that gives me energy too, because it's something I'm passionate about.
Yeah, definitely. So do you think that you'll keep doing live streams after things get back to normal, whenever that would be? Who knows?
Well, who knows, like you said, when things are going to get back to normal. The thing that I've figured out for myself, right, just to go on my like long way around that answering that question, is as a creative person who's used to touring, right? I'm used to doing live shows and setting up that way. The beautiful thing about the pandemic and kind of pivoting to online stuff is it's really helped me figure out how much money was going out with my travel, how much time was going into traveling to different locations. And so the online concert sphere for me has been really great because I get to work from home. I get to set up. I don't really have a lot of travel time at all. It's like from my bedroom to my bathroom to do my makeup to my office, a short sphere, right? So it's been really, really great for me because I'm learning that I'm reaching people from different areas throughout the US and throughout the world just by doing live streams. So I think there is still a way to do this whole live streaming thing when the world goes back to normal.
Yeah, awesome. Mm-hmm. So this podcast is kind of it's geared to anybody who wants to stream it for sure, but I want to focus on like people who are really just starting out. So when you're like building your like following per se, do you think it's important to like take care of your fans and like interact with those people? Because I see like a lot of people who will just post stuff and then people like, comment stuff like, oh, this like changed my life, like thanks, and it's like they don't even comment back. Like, do you feel like that really makes an impact?
It makes a huge impact. I've been doing this for a lot of years, full time. I went full time in 2007 as a musician. And one of the things that I know makes me feel so old.
That's great. That's so cool. No, that's awesome.
I'm having the experience. Listen, I'm happy to be aging. But the thing that has really connected my fans to me is a real sense of friendship and engagement, right? So if people send me messages or they comment on stuff, I really make it a point to comment back. You know, they get a level of interaction from me and a level of respect. And I think that is so important. Like, and not in a contrived kind of way, but you really want your fans to know who you are. That's how people connect to you, is like knowing you, knowing your story. And I'm very honest about that, and what I stand for and where I stand. And I think that that's important as an artist. You don't want people to just invest in the music. You want them to invest in you as a person.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I even like remember, I mean, because I found you, someone had emailed me at University of the Pacific, and they were like, you should book this band. And I was like, hell yeah. Like, I loved it. And then I think you were one of even like the first shows where I was like doing live sound, and like,
Yeah.
I love, like, still to this day, like, if I could run live sound like one more time, I think I would die happy. Like, that was the coolest thing ever. But
Yeah.
also like the live sound for you, because it's like such a like acoustic feel, at least for that show. So it just was like
Mhm.
everything was so raw, and like it was just like such a beautiful like environment. And I don't know, you as an artist, I feel like you're really easy to like connect with. And I think it is because you're just like so real, you know? Yeah, I don't know. I won't forget that day, you know? Like, that's crazy. And like, but like, that's why, like, that's why I'm like a super fan, like, you know? And that's why like you're here today, and like, I don't know, all of this. And so and that's because you are someone who engages. So if anything can be said, like, please just engage with everybody, you know? Like, I think it's
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
great.
I think there's so much out of that, right? So I have fans that are all different age groups, right? And I love to check in, especially like on my older fans. So, and a lot of them sponsor different projects and stuff. Like, they're just amazing, right? They're like, we love you here, you know? And the biggest thing is like, I check in on them. I'm like, how are you doing? Like, how's your health? What's going on? I just called to say hi, or I called to just like make sure you were okay. You know, I think those kind of things really make a difference when you really connect with people. I'm not doing it because I need anything. I'm doing it because I truly care. I care about all of my fans, and I think that is a thing that is really important. Like, I care about people, you know, like, and you know, and there are people that cross you, right? They have different political beliefs and stuff, and then you have to be like, okay, listen, like, you just go in your corner, I'm going in mine. Blessings to you, have a good day.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, when you make these connections with people and your music has touched them in some way, it becomes a real relationship. And I think artists should really think about it that way. It's not just about money or any of that. It's like, these are real humans that I just like love as people. And you know, I want the best for them, and they want the best for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's beautiful, and like the true message of like music, and what the true meaning of it all is, you know? Like, yeah. Um, so do you find that fans want to support you through more than just buying music and merch per se?
Yeah. You mean as in like reposting stuff, or as in other ways?
Um, yeah, like sharing your content, and then like contributing to like projects, like you were saying.
Yeah, definitely. So I have a lot of fans that are great, and they, you know, like I one the other day, for instance, you know, I just checked in on him a few months ago. I had heard from him. He's older. I love him to pieces. I was like, I hope he's doing okay. It's COVID, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so reached out to him, just been, checking in back and forth, making sure him and his family are okay. And then the other day he said to me, hey, just so you know, let me know if you have a project that you want me to fund. There's no ask there from me. There's just like a connection, right? And people show up, I think, if they believe in what you're doing, right? And so people know that from my perspective, I'm doing the best that I can, and I'm trying to do all these things that are really meaningful. And so I think people get behind you if they feel like you have a voice that they maybe don't have, and a mission that they don't have that they can support. And that's been a really beautiful thing for me. I'm lucky in that way. And that's why I don't discount any fan group, because you don't really know, if people are there to support you, they're there to support. And so I've been lucky in that way.
Yeah. And I always say, like, fans want to support you. They just don't know how. So if you literally post like, please, like, listen to my song, or like, please follow me on Spotify. Like, yeah, not everybody's going to do it, but that person who's like, wow, I love this artist. How do I show them that I love them? They're going to be like, oh, sweet. That's a thing I can do,
Exactly. Yeah, I think the ask is really important, and directing them to different places, right? And so, not everybody uses Spotify. Of course, I've got, some older fans that don't, but they may donate to a project in a different way. They may like rock a t-shirt instead. They may want a vinyl record. Like, it's those kind of things that it's like, oh, okay, well, I don't really listen to Spotify, but I'll buy vinyl from you, And I think that's like the important thing is like really focus on each age group that you have and what they use and what kind of benefit it is for them.
Yeah, I love that. And also because I feel like the like newer age people are so focused on like streaming, but the whole point of streaming was just so people would stop downloading people's music illegally. It wasn't to ever help artists make money. It was just to help them stop getting ripped off. So like there's still other ways to be making money. Like we don't need to just be focused on the Spotify, So I guess along that, are there any other revenue streams that you found lucrative besides Patreon?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I was thinking about that. So here, I'll give you my spectrum, and it's going to be a little bit different for everybody, right?
Yeah.
But one of the things that happened, when the pandemic hit, and I was doing these online concerts like I do on Patreon, right? I used to live in Louisville, Kentucky. There's a new brewery that is opening, I think, this year there. And so they were doing this virtual happy hour where the brewery maker would talk about, the new beers they had coming in and everything. And then I would play. And so we'd have this like really fun conversation. There was 3 of us. And they paid me a little bit of cash, but they had a great audience. And so I was like, this is kind of brilliant because instead of me going to Louisville and playing, right, we're doing this whole thing virtually. So I would say to artists, maybe there was a bar that you were playing every Thursday night or that you were playing weekly that they can't literally play. You can't literally play in person now, but you can go to them and say, hey, you have X amount of followers, right? You've got 1,000 followers on your Facebook or Instagram. Why don't we do a live there and do it as a donation base? Or if you have a little bit of cash, you can throw me, that's great. Or have some new fans come along and they can Venmo, Cash App, and support me in that way. I think tying everything to different businesses that are looking for content themselves, but maybe don't know a way to keep engaging their fans is really, really brilliant to do. And so I would say that to them is like, find a place, like if there's a thrift store that's like, hey, I need, like content, like go live on their page and play for their fans because you'll gain new fans that way and you may be able to make some additional cash. That's a good start. Yeah, thank you. That's been really, really good for me. And then, I've been doing this for a long time, so I work with different businesses and organizations. So, a thing I'll do for them is a private concert for their employees, right? So they'll do like a happy hour thing and they'll talk about, what's going on in the company, and then they'll have me play and talk about my life and talk about why I support the organizations I do. So that's a good thing too. Like if you have a family member that works for a company and they believe in what you're doing, it's like, well, I will play your happy hour. Or do you want to get a bunch of friends on Zoom and like they could be drunk and send me money, right? Like, and I'll play for you guys. Like, I think all of those things are really refreshing and really great things to do while we're in this pandemic, in a way that artists can rally their fans or family members, but also tap into a new fan base that they maybe wouldn't have beforehand.
Yeah, I love that so much. And it's so much better than like businesses who are just like, we'll have a like virtual happy hour, but they all just like get around and they don't know what to do. At least like make it something that's engaging. Like it'd be so much more fun. Like people would actually want to come. Like you could do whatever you want. Like I love that.
Exactly. Yeah. So those are I think those are fun tools and really good ones to engage people and also make money, because let's be real, artists always need to be making money. And even if it's like a suggested like $10 or $20 or $5 or whatever, if people like you, they'll give you more, so
Yeah, for sure.
that's the thing.
Do you have any tips for or like any other tips for up and coming artists or like independent artists in general?
Yeah, this is like my pulpit preach moment.
Yeah.
The baby Buddha, right? Like I've been doing this for a long time, as I stated before, and I'm aging myself, and I'm okay about that. I'm 38 years old, so I'll be 40 soon, and I've been doing this since like I was 16 years old in a girls group and beyond, right? The biggest thing I always encourage for artists to do is not follow trends. Do not try to be like anybody else. Do not try to do what everybody else is doing. And keep reinventing yourself and keep doing things that are important to you. I think the biggest issue is we have like, auto-tune and all this stuff now that's really cool and really cozy, and I think it's great, and it all works because we have technology. But the way to keep a fan base engaged is to be yourself. Keep doing things and pushing for you, right? Like don't make an album that you think everybody's gonna like. Make the albums that you want to make. And no matter if this group is getting attention for doing this or doing that, or that one went electronic, keep real to what you want to do. That is not a trend that's going to fade away, right? So many times throughout my career, there was like this band that was hot, when I was like in these different music scenes, and they got a lot of attention. And then a lot of times they ended up breaking up, because I think the talent was there. Like talent is one thing, but drive has to be the second thing. And you have to know who you are in this industry above anything else, because people will try to put you in all the boxes that fit for them. And you really need to stand strong in who you are and what you want to make in the world. So that is my biggest teaching thing that I tell every artist is like, don't give a shit about anything else. No offense to be cussing online, that anybody else is doing. Do you, and do it as hard as you possibly can. And I think, and work hard, and like really work hard and find different avenues. Like if it hadn't been for me having these different avenues, like the project abroad or working with these businesses and organization, I would have been sitting here being like, what do I do with my time during this pandemic? And now, I'm busy. I have a lot of work, and I'm really thankful for that. So that's what I would say. That's my like preaching baby Buddha moment. Be you. Don't give a damn about what anybody else is doing, and like stay strong in that and find different avenues to keep supporting your craft.
I love that. Thank you. Wow. Okay, the last question. Do you have any tips for anyone who wants to start a Patreon? If they're like, oh, I think I should do it, but I just don't know.
Yeah, I love Patreon. I just love it. I think it is a place where you're like super fans are going to be, like you, Rob. Like it's like the people that like love me no matter what, right? Are going to be there, and that's great. So it's going to be a slow build. And I see that with other Patreon channels. Like one girl I follow, she's been doing her channel for like 4 or 5 years. Now she's up to almost like 1,000 patrons, but she's consistent. Like, and I mean, we all love it there. Like it is, she calls it Patronia, and it's so fun and like interactive, and I think Patreon is a really beautiful place that you can build slowly and just know that you're building a community more than it is just fast cash, right? You're building people that want to show up for you. And so I would encourage people to do a Patreon channel, and to keep posting about it online, because it'll take people a while to get to your channel. It just will, You maybe have to post about it 10 to 20 times over a span of time before people actually come, but stay consistent.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so if you could just tell everyone where they could find you, hopefully you'll get some new follows from this.
Yes. So my Facebook and Instagram are Teneia Music. It's spelled here Teneia Music. Those are my handles there. Twitter is Teneia, I think, as well. I rarely use Twitter. And then my Patreon is patreon.com/Teneia. So you can find me there. My website is teneia.com. I also have a jewelry line there, so you can buy like fabulous jewelry there too. And those are all my handles. Please follow me on social. Instagram's my jam, so that's where I hang out most of the time, and that's Teneia Music.
Awesome. Teneia, thank you so much. You are beautiful and wonderful and amazing, and I love you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you for having me. It's always so good seeing you, and I just love like seeing you grow, seeing you throughout the years, and doing all the amazing things that you do. So you have a fan in me as well. So anytime you need me, I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. You're so sweet. All right. Talk soon.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.
So you got away from me, but it ain't easy being free. I know you're lying. See the fall, play the game, no win for all, bitter lies. Tell you want the front seat, now you won't let me drive, 'cause you never let me see through your true eyes. You're dancing on the wrong feet, now you won't step to the side, but it's alright, babe. You should never ever cross my mind. Told you that I never try a million times. Told you that you never make a fool of me. Told you that I never live in misery. Told you you should never ever cross my mind. Told you that I never try a million times. Told you that you never make a fool of me. Told you that I never live in misery. I'm a winner. Ooh, a winner. Ooh, a winner. Goddamn, I'm a winner, baby. Now the story can be told. You're the victim in the fold. I know you're crying. You place the blame on all it fall, and you're not brave enough to call. I know you're hiding. Hey, till you want the spotlight, now you won't let me shine. You never let me see through your true eyes. You're dancing on the stage right now, you won't step to the side, but it's alright, babe. Told you you should never ever cross my mind. Told you that I never try a million times. Told you that you never make a fool of me. Told you that I never live in misery. Told you you should never ever cross my mind. Told you that I never try a million times. Told you that you never make a fool of me. Told you that I never live in misery. I'm a winner. Ooh, a winner. Ooh, a winner. Goddamn, I'm a winner, baby.